Hi, Coach K here with the Rebirth Experience, and I'm so excited to give you an overview of Alkaline Pantry staples, okay? So now, this is not an all-inclusive list, but it's definitely a representation of things that you really need to have in your pantry at all times, okay? So the things we're covering today don't include the basic fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. Other than the fact that I just want to highlight that walnuts are amazing. You should definitely have these all the time. You can use them for everything from candied walnuts to satisfy a sweet tooth to, in addition to your salad, you can even blend them up and make like a nut meat out of them that's super, super tasty. So definitely keep walnuts at the top of your personal alkaline food chain, all right? Now, I'm going to walk you through what we have here before us. I'm super excited to do this. You know, these are things that I have in my pantry all the time, period. And at first, when I transitioned to this lifestyle, I thought that I would be bored, but honestly, it simplified my grocery shopping a lot. I'm not all over the store getting 50 million random things. I know exactly what I'm replenishing, and it has made it easier, and everything shown here is inexpensive. Well, there's one ingredient that might be a little bit pricier, but we'll get to that in a second. All right, so first, I'm going to start with what's in this bowl right here, and this is spelt flour, okay? Spelt flour comes in white or whole grain. I use both. It depends on the application. Spelt is an ancient grain, all right? Not to be confused with modern wheat. This does take the place of all-purpose flour 1-to-1, okay? It's much easier on your digestive system because modern wheat that's in everything from crackers to bread, yes, even Ezekiel bread, modern wheat has been made in a lab, basically. It was hybridized, it's modified, and that's the reason why so many people are experiencing gut disruption, okay? But spelt has been hybridized only by nature. Nature grew it and developed it, and so it tends to be absorbed much more easily by the body. So this is like the top pantry staple, okay? You can get this online at Amazon. Some stores are starting to carry it now. I just prefer to go online and get it in Amazon, and it comes right to my door, okay? White or wheat. Now, I tend to use the white more for something like biscuits or pancakes, if I'm making a flatbread. Other than that, I'll use the whole grain for banana bread or anything where a darker color doesn't really matter, all right? Next up, we have kamut. The kamut grain is also an ancient grain. Now, kamut comes in many forms, from cereal puffs to pasta, which also spelt. There are spelt pastas available. They've been harder to find recently, but you can still find kamut pasta readily available. I'll give you a link to a website where they do carry a lot of this. What's important to note is both kamut and spelt have a good amount of protein. So do they have carbs? Yes, but they also have protein in them, and they tend to have less of an impact on your insulin levels and your blood sugar, okay? So one of the other things I love using the kamut flour for one thing, it makes great cornbread to substitute in place of cornmeal, and then also it makes a great coating for things. So if you wanted to batter something, and you know how you'll dip it into one batter and then you'll do one last dusting of something to get a nice crunch on it? That is what the kamut flour is excellent for, okay? And it tastes good. This and the spelt, they both taste good. You wouldn't notice a difference, trust me. All right, next up, my sugar replacement, coconut sugar. Coconut sugar looks and smells similar to brown sugar, but the difference is it's low glycemic, so no blood sugar spikes, all right? Coconut sugar is not as sweet as regular sugar though, so if I'm baking something, I tend to add half coconut sugar and then half maple syrup, all right? Now, if I did all coconut sugar, it's not gonna be sweet enough. And if I do all maple syrup, it throws off the liquid ratio in the baking recipe, and then the texture doesn't come out right, okay? So basically, for any recipe that you see online, a sweet bread or something like that that you want to veganize, use coconut sugar and maple syrup in equal parts, and you can enjoy it without guilt, okay? Next, we have, let's go to our other sweetener. Move these two together. This is nature's candy, you guys. It's dates, okay? Now, this date is not my favorite, but I'm going to show it to you. It's the Deglet date. Tends to be a little bit cheaper, all right? I use whatever I can find. And this is the Deglet date, which tends to be a little bit cheaper, but the Medjool date is bigger and juicier, more moisture, and very, very sweet. I use these in my smoothies. You can blend these up with a little bit of water and make a date caramel. You can simmer this with water on the stove and make a date syrup. That's a little bit more complicated, but some of y'all, I think you can do it. So those are wonderful. I used to think dates were so weird. So I get it when people say that. I would buy them and they would just sit there and I'd be like, until the doctor said, you're on your way to diabetes, sweetie. And then I said, let me look at that again. Okay. All right. So those are our dates. Next, let's talk about a couple of legumes that I really love. Okay. We have two kinds of lentils here. We have green lentils or brown lentils and red. All right, now the red lentils, first of all, lentils are excellent for you guys. They're so high in fiber, really help keep you moving. The red lentils tend to break down, so if you wanted to make a quick curry, but if you wanted it to be a little on the mushy side, that's when you would use a red lentil, okay? And then the brown lentil here holds its texture more. I'm sorry, green lentil, it holds its texture a little bit more. So this is great, just simply cooked in some vegetable broth over the stove. You could add some butternut squash to it or something like that in small pieces and a little bit of onion, and you've got a whole dinner right there, okay? And our last legume is the infamous chickpea. Chickpeas, you guys, are gaining in popularity, all right? People are loving the chickpea now. And garbanzo beans, also known as garbanzo bean chickpea, same thing. This is an amazing, amazing source of protein. They taste delicious. You can do so many things with this. You can strain it. Now this is still in the cooking liquid, but you can strain it and rinse it and roast these in the oven on 350 with a little bit of salt, a little bit of smoked paprika. Maybe you do a little bit of nutritional yeast for about 20-25 minutes. Yummy snack, hello. Or you can put it on top of a salad. You can also mash these, mix with a little vegan mayonnaise, a little onion, a little celery, and make yourself like mock tuna, mock chicken salad, you know, whatever you want. So, or you can just call it a chickpea salad, honestly, because that's what it is. All right, so versatile. And what's even better is this liquid that you see right here, you guys, is called aquafaba, okay? Aquafaba basically mimics egg whites, okay? So it makes a great egg replacer. So if I had some mushrooms, which is another staple, pantry refrigerator staple, I could take and dredge them in the liquid from the chickpeas and then run them through my kamut flour and do a shallow pan fry. Of course, I would season that up. Delicious, all right? So many uses for that. You can get the aquafaba the easiest by using organic canned chickpeas, or you can soak dried chickpeas overnight and then the next morning just cover them with water and let them simmer for about 3 hours to create the aquafaba liquid, all right? That's how you're gonna get that. Make sure they stay covered, so you may have to check it every now and then replenish it as needed with a little bit more water. In addition to the whole chickpea, there's also the flour, garbanzo bean flour, chickpea flour is available in stores. It's very inexpensive, as are the chickpeas. This right here is my #1 thing for breading stuff, all right? Because you can take, let's say, for example, some zucchini, right? I could mix this garbanzo bean flour with a little bit of water, season it with some sea salt, some onion powder, a little smoked paprika, maybe a little oregano and thyme in there, right? And then shake it off and pan fry it, and it makes the most amazing crust and batter, okay? So this is amazing, and it's actually my #1 breading. Plus, it's easy to find these days, so I love to dip things in that. And that's actually what I fry my mushrooms in, is seasoned garbanzo bean flour, and that makes it completely gluten-free. And I think I forgot to mention that spelt and kamut do have gluten in them. They are not gluten-free. However, because they're natural, made by nature, our bodies tend to digest it better. But if you notice a sensitivity with those, you just need to switch to another flour, okay? Next up, another wonderful, wonderful, wonderful source of protein, hemp seeds, you guys. Hemp seeds, all right? Hemp seeds have gained in popularity in recent years, and with good reason. This little cup here probably has about 15 grams of protein in it, yep. So 3 tablespoons is the equivalent of a 9-ounce piece of steak, okay? And it's a complete protein, meaning that it contains every single amino acid your body needs to build muscle and to maintain your health, okay? Some plant sources of protein are incomplete, meaning they have some of the building blocks, but not all of them. But hemp seeds contain the complete set. So I love to add these to my smoothie every single day, okay? You can even make a salad dressing out of this. You can make a sauce that mimics ricotta out of this. The hemp seed does have a bit of a stronger taste, so you have to cook that out, right? But it is possible. You can do so many things with hemp seeds. Definitely a must in your staple, in your pantry. Don't let them just sit in there and die, guys. Put them in a smoothie, which you should be drinking every day anyway. All right, last 2 items. These 2 cups are basically the same thing, okay? This is quinoa, yes. I don't believe in multiple gods. I believe there's one true God, but if there were multiple gods, I would say this is the nectar of the gods, okay? Because quinoa is a perfect stand-in for rice. Why? Because it mimics the texture of rice somewhat. It's not exact, I'm not gonna tell you that, but it gets very close, but it's actually not starchy at all. It's another complete protein, just like our hemp seeds. And you cook it similar to rice, and this is the whole quinoa, by the way, okay? You cook it similar to rice, except that you want to use a little bit less water. So for example, with rice, you would do 1 cup rice and 2 cups water. With quinoa, you would do 1 cup, 1 cup, 1 cup of quinoa to 1 3/4 cup of liquid. All right, so you'd reduce it by 1/4. And honestly, I would suggest doing a little vegetable broth so you get a bit more flavor in there. And then after you've covered it, you've let it cook for about 15 minutes until the water is absorbed, just push it off the heat and let it sit another 15 minutes or so, and it will fluff up much more nicely and it won't be mushy and everything, okay? And then if you really want to be fancy, you can take it after that and stir fry it again with some other veggies. Maybe use something like some sesame oil for an Asian flair, just so good. And this version of quinoa is the flakes. These are the quinoa flakes, all right? And these are great. Some people use them in hot cereal. For me, this is another smoothie add-in, or I might add this to a quick bread or something like that and get it in that way. So good for you guys. These things together are what help to bring your body into balance. These are whole foods. These are unprocessed items, and I could take all of this and whip up a 30-minute meal in no time. So I encourage you to take everything I've said. Don't just believe Coach K. Look it up online, research for yourself, and see what you can find out to whip up your next alkaline meal. Thank you for watching. Bye.